Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Brad and welcome to the channel for 2025. I'm going to try to do a lot more this year with the channel and reading wise than I did last year. And first thing I'm doing, which is what this video is, I'm kind of bringing back the weekly wrap up that I used to do. I used to do a video at least once a week talking about the books I'd read, the books I got, the books I was planning on reading and things like that. It's going to be a different kind of format. I think I'm going to call it like the weekly book report or something cheesy along those lines. I don't really know yet, but I'm going to try to check in at least once a week, probably every Sunday afternoonish, evening sometime. Not sure what time yet, maybe 5, 6 o'clock, put these videos out and just talk about my week, whether it was stuff I read or maybe some stuff I watched. I'll throw some of that kind of stuff in there as well. But just wanted to get back into the habit of making weekly videos, which I haven't done for quite a while, and giving weekly updates on what I've been doing in the book world. So that's what this first video is, week 1 of the book report. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll see what the title is. I've got some notes on here, some things I want to cover in this video. And first up is I want to cover up my wrap up for 2024 briefly, kind of what I read, how many books I read, things like that. And I did that on Storygraph last year. I used Storygraph. When I first started reading, I used Goodreads. When I finally figured out what that was, got into reading. I used Goodreads for quite a few years, but last year I just kind of didn't want to use Goodreads anymore. I don't really know. There was a lot of ads on the website, and I just wanted kind of more statistics, more stats on my reading. And I found Storygraph, and I like that one a lot, and it breaks down a whole bunch of different categories of your reading, and I really liked that. So yeah, I went with Storygraph all last year. I think I'm going to continue with it this year. I might be done with Goodreads in general. I don't know. We'll see, but probably going to stick with Storygraph. I'm curious what you all use to track your reading. Do you use Goodreads? Do you use Storygraph? Do you prefer one or the other? Do you use something completely different? I know there's a bunch of other ones out there, but let me know what you use to track your reading down in the comments. I'm curious, but I'm really digging Storygraph so far. So I'm going to go through some of my stats from last year. I didn't read a ton last year. I think I hit my goal. I think I set my goal for 25 books last year. I ended up reading 28 books, and I crossed 10,033 pages, which is pretty cool. It says the first book I read was This Wretched Valley by Jenny Kiefer, and the last book I finished last year was Slewfoot by Brahm. There's one funny thing on here. Talks about like the mood of your book, like if it's a lighter mood, like probably like romance and things like that, or if it's a darker mood kind of book. And my graph kind of goes up, and then from like May to the end of the year, it's like flatlined at the bottom. I guess I read a lot of dark stuff for most of the year, which that rings true because I mainly read horror books. Although I want to tend to branch out, venture out more than just reading horror for this year specifically. I wanted to do that some last year. I did a little bit, but I want to try to do that a lot more this year. I love horror, kind of getting burnt out on it a little bit though, to be honest. And I do love other genres as well. So I want to explore other genres more so this year than I did last year. But I'll always be a big horror fan. The most time spent in genres, I read 21 horror books last year. Like I was just talking about, I love horror. Read 8 thrillers, 4 crime, 3 historical, 3 mysteries. My longest book was My longest book was Swan Song by Robert McCammon, 956 pages. And my shortest book was Chopping Spree by Angela Sylvain. It was 128 pages. We actually had Angela on an episode of Paper Cuts to talk about Chopping Spree, the novella. It was a cool episode. If I remember, I'll link it up here. You can go check that out. It was a lot of fun to get to chat with her about her 80s inspired mall slasher. I'm sure if you're old enough like me, you all remember going to the mall as a kid. It's not the same anymore. The mall was a blast back then. Average length of books was 350 pages. That's something I wanted to do last year. I was reading more longer books as opposed to the shorter novellas. I didn't read as many long books. I kind of had like the big book challenge where I wanted to read like 10 books over 500 pages. I didn't get that, but I did read some longer books last year. And only had a few 5-star reads for the year. I'll maybe share those in another video. I think I'm going to do my top 10 favorite reads of the year last year. So I'll share what those are in another video. But yeah, just some stats from last year. I'm a big statistics guy with sports and everything. So having reading stats has always been really interesting to me. And Storygraph breaks that down a lot more than Goodreads, in my opinion. So I really, really like that. So let's talk about Christmas. Christmas was a few weeks ago now, but I haven't really talked about anything on the channel since Christmas. I didn't really get any books for Christmas. I got one book for Christmas, but I didn't ask for any books for Christmas because, I don't know, as you can see, this disaster back here in the back, there's some storage issues. I need some more bookshelves, and I feel like this part of the floor is going to cave in down into the living room shortly. So I need to get some more bookshelves, but I did get one book from my sister-in-law, which is one that I'm really excited to read. One I've heard great things about, and that is James by Percival Everett. I think this was, maybe it won the Booker Prize or was a Booker Prize nominee. I'm not sure, but I know it was up for some sort of award. And it is a retelling, a reimagining of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn told from the enslaved Jim's point of view. I've never read Huckleberry Finn. I don't know. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see over there, the green book with the gold pages. I think that is Huckleberry Finn. So I've heard you don't have to read that before reading this and enjoying this. So I think I'm going to dive straight into this at some point this year. This is one of the books I do want to read this year. That's another video I'm going to be working on. The 25 books I want to read in 2025. This one is going to be on that list. So thanks to Becca, my sister-in-law, for getting me that one. I'm really excited for that one. What I'm currently reading, so first we'll talk about the Spinebreakers book club. Last year it was a monthly book club, one book every month. This year I've changed it to a quarterly book club, so one book every quarter, 4 books for the year. And for January, February, and March, the book is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I put up a short video the other day talking about it, but Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely love it. I love dinosaurs. Actually, last night I rewatched one of the newer ones with Chris Pratt. I don't really enjoy those as much as the originals, but it's got dinosaurs in it, so it's still a good roller coaster of a time. So we're reading Jurassic Park for the Spinebreakers book club. I'm also going to read The Lost World as well. This is a compendium. It's got both of them in there, Jurassic Park and The Lost World. The book club's only Jurassic Park, but I'm going to read both of them. I did start it the other day, and I'm like 80 pages into it. So not super far, but a decent little chunk. And it's way, way, way different than the movie. Lots of characters and things happening in the book that were not in the movie at all. And then the way we've been introduced to Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm, and their introductions are similar to how they are in the movie, but different as well. So it's interesting to see the really big differences between the book and the movie. This is more of a kind of a mystery so far. You know, us, the reader, we know that there's dinosaurs involved, but these characters, they're learning about, you know, on Costa Rica, some of the dinosaurs got out, the little compies, and they've been biting children. They think they're just kind of a new discovery, new breed of lizard. So they don't know it's dinosaurs yet. People are starting to slowly figure out maybe there's dinosaurs roaming around out there. So it's cool because the movie is not really a mystery at all. So it's cool to see it portrayed as a mystery. And it's also a bit more violent and graphic, just a little bit of violence so far. But compared to the movies, it's a lot more kind of detailed violence. You know, a baby gets its face eaten off by the compies down in Costa Rica, which that wasn't in the movie. But I'm really, really enjoying it so far. The character differences are interesting too. Alan Grant has a beard. Ian Malcolm's bald. So that's kind of hard to wrap my head around because I like the movie so much. But I'm starting to ramble. But I'm really, really enjoying this. And if you're interested, you can join in and read along with us over on the Discord. Again, it's over January, February, and March. You have plenty of time to dive in and read it. I think Jurassic Park by itself, it's like 460 something pages. So not too big of a commitment for a 3-month time span. So I'm currently reading that. And then also I started, and this one kind of happens to be related in a way to Jurassic Park. I started West by Carrie Davies. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. What interested me in this one, and I didn't really even put the 2 and 2 together, you know, Jurassic Park being about dinosaurs, and this one kind of sort of in the background is about dinosaurs. But what made me want to pick this one up is it mentions Kentucky in the synopsis. And of course I live in Kentucky, So anything having to do with that, I'm interested in reading. But this one takes place like in the 1800s, I think. And there was ancient bones. So dinosaur bones were discovered in the salty mud, the tar pits of Kentucky, which is a real place. It's called Big Bone Lick. I don't know who named it. Not a great name, but Big Bone Lick, Kentucky is where there's like tar pits. I think they've found like, I don't know about dinosaurs, but like saber-toothed tigers, I think, and woolly mammoths and whatnot. But this guy hears about these bones that have been discovered, and it just like makes his imagination run crazy. And he kind of becomes obsessed with it. So much so that he leaves his daughter behind at home with his sister and travels out west. I believe he's in Pennsylvania. He travels out west, basically in search of these creatures that these bones came from, because he has to see them in person, because it's basically captured his imagination and he's become obsessed with it. And like I said, I think this takes place in the 1800s, so it's kind of a Western, and he's following kind of the route of Lewis and Clark, kind of where they went, traveled out west. I kind of got that information from like the library. So after Lewis and Clark, but there's no technology or anything in here. So it's really interesting so far. It's kind of sparse. I feel like this could be a lot bigger book. It's only like 140 pages or so. I am enjoying it, but like I feel like there's a lot of detail that has been left out that could have been included, but I am enjoying the story so far. It's switching back and forth from the daughter's perspective of being left behind and hoping her dad comes back, and thinking he's kind of this cool adventure guy, and then switching to the dad's perspective and the trials and tribulations he's going through, traveling out west and trying to find his way and discover these ancient creatures that, unbeknownst to him, don't exist anymore. They've been extinct for millions and millions of years. So this is an interesting book, West by Carries Davies. I'm enjoying that one. I'm about a little over 50 pages into that one, so like a third of the way through that one, which I am enjoying. And that's it. That's really all I have right now. I'm planning on finishing those up. And like I said, I've got some other videos planned coming out soon. I want to do the 25 books I want to attempt to read in 2025, and my top 10 books I read last year in 2024. But like I said, I'm going to try to do this weekly wrap up, this weekly book report every week, kind of give you all an update on what I'm reading, what I'm doing in the book world. But I think that's it for today. That's all I've got for you. So again, appreciate you hanging out with me, spending time with me. Again, my name is Brad, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.